Hi everyone, and welcome to lesson 3 of out of the book Goodbye to Guilt by Gerald G Jampolsky. And lesson 3 is called I Will Not Hurt Myself Again Today. Now, what it says is that our basic ego thought system believes that the external world is the cause of our pain. And he goes on to say that many of us actually wake up in the morning with the thoughts, what awful thing is going to happen to me today? The radio and the news broadcasts bombard us with the feeling that the world is unsafe and that we are continuously vulnerable and under a form of attack. And I must say that I stopped watching the television and the news back in 2016, at the end of 2016, because I felt that it was actually bringing me down and draining me. With my mindset and the way my thoughts patterns were, so I actually stopped watching it. And he goes on to say that the world's belief system makes it impossible to just let go and trust. So because we're always being bombarded with all the negative news and everything, we're on constant alert and into like a survival mode. Our chimp part of our brain, as I call it, is on instant survival, constant survival, wanting to protect itself because we're led to believe that there's going to be an attack. So he goes on to say that love and attack cannot coexist. But the ego wants you to believe they can. So when we fail to find happiness, the ego convinces you that the fear and guilt and unhappiness is caused by external factors. He explains that when he changes his perception and remembers that the only thing real is the light of Christ, which is love, that's when he forgets that, he starts making judgments about something and someone, then he becomes very miserable. So it's about trying to keep that love feeling rather than having to have the fear and the guilt part of your brain and judging people and judging yourself as well, because once we start judging ourselves, that's when it starts we start feeling miserable and really down on ourselves. Gerald says a statement that's helped him personally from the Course of Miracles is, today I let Christ's vision look upon all things for me and judge them not, but give each one a miracle of love instead. So he says we need to heal our wounds, and to heal our wounds he actually mentions that he's immediately after his divorce he became more attached to his ego way of looking at the world. This was due to the personal guilt that he felt, the loss and the rejection and deprivation of love. He felt wounded and unlovable. Now I must admit I can relate to this. I did leave my husband in 2008 and I did feel the personal guilt and the loss. Rejection, I'm not sure it was rejection on my part, but there again, possibly. I know my ex-husband felt rejection, and I did feel completely lost, definitely. And it took me a while, and that's why I actually ended up buying this book. I left my husband in 2008, and I didn't actually buy the book till 2016, so that was like 8 years later. And it was just in a bookshop I went into, and I just thought, oh, I'll buy that book because I'd been discussing with a friend, and we decided that it was actually guilt what I was actually carrying. He goes on to explain when we allow the ego mind to take over, particularly in romantic relationships, feelings of jealousy and possessiveness consume us. So when our needs are satisfied by another, we feel love, and if they're not satisfied, we are likely to feel hate. So the moment we want something from another person, we give that person the power. Okay, so as soon as we start wanting to have something, we're actually we're putting our life, and they're giving them the power, so that we're not actually keeping control of it ourselves. And we're giving them the power to decide whether we're going to be happy or not. So we give them the power to hurt us. Now he has a letter from a lady, I'm assuming it's a lady, it's called Janie Pito, and she says, "Dear Dr. Jampolsky, I just finished reading your article written with Patricia Hopkins in the February issue of Unity magazine. I was restless, moody, depressed, ready to freak out with worry or just go to bed. I paced and then went directly to the magazine, opened to your article, read it through, and the tears just poured out. God, how I've been punishing myself. I've been a failure in God's eyes because he was looking through mine. If nothing is impossible, then maybe I can rescue myself after all. Briefly, I've been on a search for treatment all my life for nerves, depression, guilt, phobias, the works. I was convinced that I was born the victim of the universe. I always attracted losers, beaters, and painmakers. I have never had a true relationship. And about 10 years ago, I checked out and became an hermit. I thought love was only in the movies. Then last June, God opened a door for me. He sent me my soulmate. Because of his past hurts and my own dark pain, our relationship began slowly and hurtfully. I always expected the worst. Through prayer, I've been able to hang on to this man for the past year and improve our relationships 10 times over. I share light with him, and we are becoming human beings again. I'm just so happy right now that I could scream. Right after reading your words, my friend called me and set up a date. Thanks to you, I can lift myself higher because I got closer to the truth. I keep dropping back into fear and the pits, so when something inspiring like this happens to me, I turn myself around again. I can believe, I can hope. What a fantastic feeling. My problem is small compared to all that's going on in our planet, but Dr. Jampolsky, the ray of sunshine you sent this little soul was appreciated in a big way. Thank you. God bless you. Love and light. So, can you relate to that? He also says that I will not hurt myself means being determined not to see illusions having any effect and reminding ourselves that we can only be hurt by our own thoughts. So I'm going to read the passage and then we'll go on to the lessons. So he says, I will not hurt myself again today. I recognise today that my attack thoughts about others are really directed against myself. When I believe that attacking others brings me something I want, let me remember that I always attack myself first. So the steps for today's integrating lesson are, for our daily life experiences are, review your relationships and select the ones in which you feel most vulnerable to hurt or pain. Now recognise that you can hurt yourself only by your own thoughts. Then say to yourself, I am determined not to attack myself again. Then say the person's name. I choose to experience only love instead of pain in my relationship with you today. Number 2 is let go today, if only for a moment, of the belief that anyone has the power to hurt you. Instead, say to whomever you feel threatened by, I see you joined with me in the light of God's healing love. Number 3, reaffirm your willingness to see only the God self in everyone you meet today. Imagine that you're wearing a love filter over your eyes and ears. Be open to seeing and hearing only loving faces and words today. And number 4 is, if you feel that your peace of mind is being threatened in any relationship today, say to yourself, I will not use you and name to block my awareness of God's presence in both of us. Number 5 is, at least 3 times a day, repeat the following affirmations. Since I'm surrounded and protected by the love of God, I choose not to hurt myself again today. The guiltless have no fear and they are safe and recognise their safety. So that's out the lesson number 3 out of Goodbye to Guilt by Gerald G Jampolsky. If there's anything I can help you with at all, please feel free to message me. Also, in my group Transforming Your Life on Facebook, I will put the visual about the lessons from today. So please do take a look in my group. And I will do the next lesson for tomorrow. Have a lovely day and stay safe.